Hello. So, getting animated textures in Godot isn't the most intuitive thing to do. So, what I thought I'd do is show you how I'm doing it in my remake of an old game. As you can see, we've got some animated conveyor belts, and these are all textures within Godot and all within the tilemap. As you can see, the process, once you do it, is quite simple. So first of all, I've just created a simple tilemap with nothing else in it. And in order to get my animated conveyor belt, we simply need one piece of graphic, as you can see here. And what we essentially do is on each frame, if we shift all the pixels, wrap them around, then if we keep on doing it and repeating, we can achieve a simple animation. So as you can see, what we're doing is selecting a number of pixels, moving the image to the left, and then putting the image back to the right. And if we keep on repeating that, we will end up with essentially an animated image. But I'm using sprite here, which is Ace Sprite, just the fork. It's usually just a few versions behind. So what this does is gives you an option to do that shifting automatically for you. In this case, I've mapped the control left to the button. So what we do is we duplicate a cell to create a new frame, then we use the key to move it along, then we duplicate that cell and we just repeat over and over again. In this case 8 times because my sprite is 32 pixels and I'm moving 4 pixels at a time. So as you can see, it's quite a quick process. And if we animate it, obviously we need to remember to turn off that black background. You can see we have a simple animation. Now obviously if we repeat that animation lots of times, then we will end up with a continuous animation. So in here we just save the sprite and it knows that we've got a number of frames, so once we agree we will end up in a sprite or sprite with our 8 animations. Okay. So if you go back to Godot, what we do is in the inspector, in the top right we click on the little plus button and that lets us create a new resource file, a TRES file or a res file. In this case I selected animated texture. Okay, we have 8 frames and we just drag each of the frames in one by one. Of course it would be nice if Godot let us drag all 8 at once, but maybe that's a feature to be implemented at a later date. The next thing we do is we set the frame rate. So because this is a resource file, if we ever go into this resource using the load button, which is next to the save button I'm going to click just now, you can update the resource file and it'll be reflected in your game or wherever it uses that resource file. That's how resources work. Okay, so now if you go to our tile map, what we're going to do is make the screen a little bit bigger and we're just going to click on the tile map resource. Right. And then we're going to add a tile. And instead of selecting a simple bitmap, we will select our TRES file rather than the image itself. Yep. So Godot lets you select TRES files, in this case the one that we've just created. And as you can see, we now have it. So we click on new single tile, make sure we've got that anchor selected, and we click, and that will create the tile, and optionally we've created a collision box. So now it's just a simple case of drawing it. Yep. If you use the tools across the top, as you've just seen, you can get each tile to be rotated. So you can see if you have a fairly generic animation, you can do it left and right, up and down, or even mirrored. And that concludes this demonstration. Thank you. Goodbye.